My name is Kishore Bamadipati, and I'm Director of Product Marketing at NetSuite, and I'll be driving the webinar today. With me, I have a couple of our esteemed customers who will participate in a panel discussion. We also have my colleague Larry, who will show a quick demo of our product. So let's get started. Here's the agenda for today. I'll start by introducing my co-presenters, and I'll then take about 10 minutes to introduce NetSuite and our take on why it makes sense to move your financials to the cloud. We shall then have a panel discussion with our guests, followed by the product demo, and we'll wrap today's webinar with a Q&A session from you folks. As I said earlier, I have the pleasure of introducing Drew Williams and Scott Zaleski, two of our customers who have made the switch from Microsoft Dynamics to NetSuite. Drew is the Chief Operating Officer at Point6, and Scott is the Director of Finance and Administration at One Legal LLC. I'll provide an opportunity to both these gentlemen to introduce their companies and their roles in greater detail just before we begin our panel discussion. With me also is Larry McMahon, who is he's from our solution consulting organization, and Larry is going to give a quick demonstration of NetSuite solution today. So thank you, gentlemen, for your time today, and I'm sure the audience will benefit greatly from your comments and inputs. So let's start by talking about NetSuite. NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud ERP provider. We are a publicly traded company with a revenue of over $414 million in fiscal year 2013, and we have over 3,000 employees distributed across 10 countries around the world. Over 20,000 organizations use NetSuite to run their business across 150 countries, and we've been recognized as the fastest growing top 10 financial management solution providers globally. And as you can see on the right-hand side, our vision is to transform how businesses operate so that they can achieve their business vision themselves. So let us start by looking at the cloud adoption trends. As you can see from the most recent national survey conducted by the Cloud Accounting Institute, the number of companies using cloud solutions has increased by 50% in a year, and they are definitely committed to using the cloud-based platform to run their accounting and financial services within their organizations. Now, what is driving this trend, right? Why do we think this trend is happening? Our belief is because on-premise systems actually holds finance back. Let us peel the onion and learn this transition. Learn more about this transition. According to research conducted by analysts from firms like Gartner and Aberdeen Group, on-premise systems truly hold finance back. According to Gartner, 91% of the IT budget is spent on just keeping the lights on, and the remaining paltry 9% is what's left for any real innovation. And why do companies so much time and resources just keeping the lights on, you'd ask? Well, that is because it's extremely hard to upgrade to newer versions thanks to their customizations. In other words, people running systems like Microsoft Dynamics, SAP, Sage, etc., are all version locked, paying maintenance dollars to these companies for not receiving any new functionality, but just to stick onto their older versions. And you'll hear from our customers, Scott and Drew, who are on our panel today, to explain their experiences in this context. So let's look at another view of this and why the transition is happening. So as we know, we are at the end of 2014, and it's been a few years now that everybody in the world is able to share pictures, videos, music, and their lives around the globe instantly, right? I mean, that is about our social aspect. However, if you're in the finance department of any reasonable size organization, you might as well be in Stone Age. You'd say, why? Because you still can't do any of these things. Like what? You cannot get a good view of our accounts. You're drowned in an ocean of spreadsheets. You know you are in no place to scale to support your company's growth, and the list goes on and on and on. Bottom line is, you just spend more money, invest more resources, build more integrations, at a problem that simply cannot be solved by that approach because you're just throwing good money after bad money every single time you add some more resources to this. So why does this happen again? Well, because you're perennially reconciling data from multiple sources via something like Excel. You start with somebody's favorite solution to run one aspect of your business or finance. Meanwhile, somebody else begins to use Excel for analytics because Dynamics doesn't support analytics at the level that you want. And time goes by, and you add a variety of these other piecemeal solutions to address specific requirements at various department levels. As a result, as a finance executive, you struggle at the end of each fiscal period to get a view of your performance. You and your team have to jump through hoops in order to get an accurate read on your company's financial data. In addition, if your company is growing and you're adding a new office region, a new product line, a new sales channel, these are all extremely dreadful parts because you know the pain is not only going to magnify in proportion to your growth, it's going to continue to linger for a long time. To make a long story short, over time, you throw more money, more resources, again, and more Band-Aids at a fundamentally broken system, which you know is not going to get better unless you take a radically different approach. What is that approach, you ask? We at NetSuite truly believe that a cloud-based suite is truly the way to address all of the problems I just mentioned. Because as you see, the more on-premise piecemeal solutions you adopt, the more money you're spending on hardware, software, operating systems, maintenance, human resources, you name it. And you do that over and over again for each business function, whether it's financial, CRM, e-commerce, whatnot. On the other hand, moving to a cloud-based solution or a suite, in fact, allows you to adopt a subscription-based model, which means you save valuable cash upfront, which you can use to grow your business instead of IT resources. Plus, adopting a suite means you can work with a single vendor who provides a single integrated platform. You don't have to worry about integrations, and your customizations stay up to date all the time. That is the big value proposition in a cloud-based suite solution like what we provide at NetSuite. So to conclude my remarks before I introduce my panelists, let's talk about why today's businesses, like I said, there are 20,000 organizations and counting who are growing their business and using NetSuite as their chosen platform. What is this driving this growth, and why are businesses choosing to build with NetSuite? Well, it comes down to these 5 big tenets. NetSuite is designed for modern businesses. It's built from the ground up as an easy-to-use cloud solution, and NetSuite transforms both the accessibility of your systems as well as the capabilities it delivers to your organization and beyond to your partners and customers. Second, flexibility is built into the system. So as your business changes, you can change your business system. Imagine that. And unlike the old guard, configuration and customization are not dirty words that require an army of developers or lock you into a single version for a long, long time. You can upgrade. In fact, coming onto a platform like NetSuite means you can actually rest assured that your customizations will migrate and you will upgrade twice a year and get the latest and greatest functionality in the technology that we are providing. Third, business intelligence is for all users. Real-time analytics is in the UI of NetSuite, so everyone knows exactly what tasks they should be focused on and get actionable insight that helps them move the business forward strategically. Commerce-ready system. NetSuite comes commerce-ready. We know that. It is a fact that commerce is changing every industry today, and if you're not already thinking about it, you'll soon be in that situation where you have plan for commerce. You need a core business system that can easily become your customer-facing system or a partner-facing system, or basically a system that allows your vendors, your partners, your employees, everyone to interact together in a web-based platform. Finally, NetSuite just works. As you know, with 20,000 plus organizations running on NetSuite, We have a proven track record of strong financials coupled with delivering a secure and a scalable solution. We are here today to invest into a future together for tomorrow for the success of our and your business. So with that, I'm going to pose you a polling question, and if you could take about 20 seconds to take a look at the question and respond with your answer, that would be great while I introduce our guests in the next slide. All right. As I said, with me, I have two of our customers, Scott Zaleski, Director of Finance and Administration at One Legal LLC, is the first person who I'm going to introduce. And Scott, I'd like you to take a couple of minutes to talk to the audience about your company and how you came about using NetSuite, how you made the transition from Microsoft Great Plains.
Sure. One Legal LLC is a nationwide attorney services company. We provide support services in the areas of court document filing, process serving, court research, and case management. Our primary customer base is law firms and insurance companies. We are based in California. We have 140 employees. We also use roughly 200 contractors nationwide that helps us support our business. We have been on NetSuite since May 1st of this year, 2014. We are coming from long-term use of Microsoft Great Plains version 8. We had determined a few years ago that when Microsoft stopped supporting our particular version, that we either needed to upgrade the version that we were on or switch accounting systems. After a few years of haggling with executives on price, we were able to evaluate the current models of Great Plains. We've evaluated Oracle, SAP, and NetSuite, and we really came to the conclusion that NetSuite was the model that we wanted to use going forward for a few reasons. The reasons that we left Great Plains: one, we were version locked. We're a highly customized. We had a highly customized version of Great Plains, and it actually quite expensive to do any new customizations or tweak our old customizations. And it's also extremely costly to upgrade from version 8.0 to 9 or 2010, mostly because the customizations, they were not sure that they would work in the newer versions, and it would cost us more to actually test and redevelop those particular customizations than the upgrade would end up costing. One of the other reasons we left Great Plains, we are a high transaction volume organization. We process roughly 3,000 to 4,000 transactions a day. The version of Great Plains that we were on just simply could not support it. The system was slowing down. Additionally, the reporting became cumbersome. We ended up having to move towards a SQL reporting services type of a reporting model, which requires a developer to build out the reports for us. Costs money to do that. All of these things led us to look elsewhere, and this is how we came across NetSuite.
Excellent. Scott, thank you so much for your comments on that. And now I'm going to introduce Drew Williams, who is the Chief Operating Officer at Point6. Drew, would you please take a couple of minutes to describe your company, your business, and how you made the switch to from Great Plains to NetSuite, please?
Thanks, Kishore. Yes, we are based in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Peter and Patty Duke, who originally founded Point6 about 7 years ago, also started a company called Smartwool back in 1994 and essentially brought merino wool as a performance fiber to the outdoor performance apparel industry. And so kind of reshaped the look at essentially performance-based fibers. And so right now our focus is on merino wool socks. We make everything from running socks to over-the-calf ski and snowboard socks, and everything in between. We're a small business at its best. In my position as COO, I'm dealing in everything from kind of the nuts and bolts of our operating system, NetSuite, to product development, finance, working with our contract manufacturers who make our socks all domestically made here in the U.S. So it goes a variety of directions. We have about 12 folks here in-house using NetSuite on a daily basis, including our warehouse distribution staff in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And then we have a broader base of outdoor sales reps that are independent, about 30 or 40 of those folks that work outside of our doors, selling into outdoor retailers domestically and worldwide. We started using NetSuite a year ago on November 1st. So we started November 1st, 2013. I had come from a company also in the outdoor industry here in Steamboat that had switched to NetSuite probably a year and a half or 2 years prior to that. We actually went from QuickBooks to NetSuite at the prior company, and with Point 6, we switched from Great Plains to NetSuite. Much like Scott already stated, we had the exact same issues that had come up that he also said with One Legal, which was we also had a very customized platform for Microsoft Great Plains, and so we had an older version, but also had customized that version quite a bit. So when we looked at the cost, I had never, quite frankly, been involved with using Great Plains at all before I had come to Point 6, and so I had no idea about its functionality or anything like that. And I quickly realized that the cost of upkeeping that customized system that we had with all of our customized reporting tools and things of that nature were just astronomical. So I essentially came to the ownership team with this idea because we had already experienced such success at the other companies with NetSuite. I brought the idea of switching to a cloud-based operating system to our ownership team. There's a ton of businesses larger businesses in the outdoor industry who are using NetSuite and have had great success. So there was a lot of success stories where we could call up folks we knew in the industry, ask them about their experience, and it gave our ownership team a lot of confidence. And so we made the move, and we have been essentially operating in NetSuite with great success ever since. Much like Scott said, we're also a high volume orders per day. Not quite the transaction volume that One Legal is dealing with. That's pretty impressive. But we do a lot of shipping on a daily basis from our distribution center, and we're taking care of a variety of large customers, including Eddie Bauer, LL Bean, Bass Pro Shop, and so a lot of these customers with their compliance issues and things of that nature, NetSuite's really helped us dial in a lot of the issues that were coming up in Great Plains, just in our shipping system, nuts and bolts accounting, and so it's been a fantastic tool for us in the last year.
Excellent, Drew. Thank you very much for those comments. Now let's get into a panel discussion, and I'm going to go back to you, Scott, and I know this is a big question. I know you already talked a little bit about the challenges, but when you said one of the pieces that you mentioned was that Great Plains, that particular version was not supported by Microsoft, and can you delve a little bit more into that? And then suggest and point out any other challenges that are associated with that?
Sure. I mean, there's not a lot to it, really. I think it was a few years ago, Microsoft notified all customers that were using Microsoft version 8.0, Great Plains 8.0, that they were no longer supporting it. Essentially, at that point, we were on our own should anything happen to the system itself. If it were to ever, the database were to ever go down, we were responsible for fixing it ourselves. Microsoft would not help with that at all. So it was a huge risk for the company. Fortunately, we didn't have any catastrophic events with it, but had one happened, we would have years of data that would be completely lost, and there would be no way to recover it, and we would receive no help from Microsoft in doing so.
Good. So is that part, so Drew, feel free to jump in as well on this, but it sounds like based on what you just said, that the version is not supported, it is a clear deterrent to making any additional customizations or touching any of those customizations, right? I mean, regardless of where your business is heading, you cannot touch your system because you're scared it's not supported, right?
Well, the customizations, you could still make, there's always somebody out there, a consultant, whatever, that is, for enough money, they're going to do whatever you want them to do. So you can still have customizations done for the system, but there's always a question mark as to what it might, any new customizations or changes, there's always a question or a risk around how it would affect the application itself, which that risk is something we just weren't willing to take on.
Yeah, and I for point 6, I looked at the historical cost of what Scott's getting at with that kind of open dollar amount that you don't know what it is with this consulting to actually get these things accomplished. And our costs were, essentially double. It was the operating system cost of Great Plains, and then there was the additional costs of using that systems through these consulting groups, which actually doubled our costs in the end, looking over year for the last couple of years. And so what we were actually spending versus what was kind of just the operating system cost for us to use it were two very different stories.
Excellent. No, that is in line with what I had just mentioned towards the end of my presentation about the fundamental difference between an on-premise solution and cloud-based, where your costs keep coming on continuously, right? And whether it's for upkeep, for new functionality, whatnot. So thank you very much for those comments on pertaining to the challenges. Now, I know, Drew, you mentioned about having used NetSuite at a prior company before you came to point 6, but what were some of the key, so both of you again, but I'll start with you, Drew. What were the key evaluation criteria that you used when you were evaluating other systems to replace Great Plains? And
Sure.
Was cloud a cloud-based solution a prerequisite in your mind?
Cloud-based solution was certainly a prerequisite. Having used a cloud-based solution in the past, it was NetSuite in the past, but just knowing the difference between that in terms of functionality and ease of use and such, it certainly made sense. Our criteria at point 6 specifically was certainly looking at how all these different kind of pieces of the operating system are pulled into one. So we wanted kind of an all-inclusive solution. We want actually to push into, we don't currently do this, but we want to, we had on the horizon, all right, we know we want to update our website. And so we want to pull in that e-commerce functionality of NetSuite. And so we saw NetSuite as all these different pieces being brought together for our company and really being able to utilize all those pieces ERP, CRM, all e-commerce, and utilizing one system for that. It was the outlook of seeing, okay, NetSuite we can use now, and we can also kind of grow into it in the future. So that was our main criteria, is kind of having just one solution. We didn't want to get into having, essentially ending up having to run multiple solutions to run our business.
Makes sense. Scott?
Yes. Well, very similar to what Drew said. We were, as far as being cloud-based, it was one of our criteria. It wasn't. We were open to going on-premise or cloud-based. We've done on-premise in the past. I personally lobbied for cloud-based only because it assured us that we were always on the most recent version of whatever application it is that we would be using. And that, based on my experience with Great Plains, that was very important to me and to my operations. We're a growing business, just like hopefully everybody's is. We did need something, though, that was scalable, flexible, customizable, and NetSuite is all of those. In fact, a lot of the customizations that we needed to do, I personally could do, and I can barely operate a computer as it is. So it's that flexible that I can add fields, I can make changes within NetSuite myself. I don't need a developer, or I don't need to hire a consultant. And the reporting aspect of NetSuite over Great Plains is hands down. It's 100 times better, in my opinion. I can get much more detail out of NetSuite than I ever could from Great Plains.
Cool. Thanks again. And so just briefly before we go to the next slide, a quick question. What were some of the other solutions you considered along with NetSuite, either at One Legal or Point 6?
Well, One Legal we looked at a lot, but it ended up boiling it down to, what was it? We evaluated a number of Sage. We evaluated Great Plains again. Our final three, if you will, in our evaluation process were Oracle, SAP, and NetSuite. And we ended up going with NetSuite, based on price, break-even point, ROI, all weighed in favor of NetSuite.
Okay.
Yeah, our story is much like Scott's. I mean, we had kind of the same players in mind, and the exact same thing. After kind of evaluation of what all the systems offered, cost, everything else, NetSuite was obviously the winner there.
Excellent. So we are at the next slide where you guys discussed the benefits of the cloud-based solution. So I'm going to jump over that question. And can you briefly tell us how you intend? I know Scott, Drew, you already mentioned about your plans to use NetSuite briefly, but can you elaborate a little bit on that? And then also your advice for our listeners here, especially those who are looking to make switch from Dynamics, Great Plains Dynamics. Could you please talk to those 2 points?
Sure. Our future plans for NetSuite, we're working on a lot of customization reporting tools that we utilize to make the product, and so we do work with contract manufacturers domestically who make the socks, and it's kind of amazing how much goes into the construction of a sock, and it's certainly as you get into apparel, the construction of apparel and fabrics, yarns, all of these things that play into the construction of this product. And so we right now are really focused on the reporting tools that kind of just help us in production planning, and we've had a lot of great success with that. And so we're constantly kind of moving towards understanding our production flow, our demand and supply plans. We've already got a really great system that we've utilized to create kind of the flow of production and all of these things. But NetSuite's really, really helping us just in the here and now to really hone in that process. So that's been very helpful. Beyond that, in the future, we really want to integrate our e-commerce platform with NetSuite. We are currently using another e-commerce provider called Shopify, and there's a million of them out there. But we really see a lot of benefits to really seeing all of our transactions just from our web. Our web platform is really strong for us, our e-commerce platform, and so we really want to integrate that platform into NetSuite. So order entry, fulfillment, all of these things are integrated in just a more seamless process for our folks on staff. So that's our future plans. Advice for making the move. I would say one thing that can kind of get in the way is the fear of not only implementation, but like changing over an entire crew of people to work in a new operating system. For us, my advice would be essentially, here's the sales hat for NetSuite, but get started sooner than later. We found that by getting the process started and really just hammering through it, we were able to get implementation done in a very quick time frame, and then actually converting over our staff, which I'm sure we've got folks on the phone that have much larger businesses than us, but as a small business, we had the people really driving in NetSuite, quite frankly, before we even went live, and then within 90 days, I mean, really everybody was rocking and rolling in the system. It did not take, a year for us to get the new operating system under our belt. I mean, we were obviously fulfilling, receiving, doing all those daily tasks on day one in NetSuite, but then everybody really settled in. I'd say within that first quarter of using the system, they really settled in and were able to utilize it. So I think my one piece of advice is, don't be fearful of the transition. For us, it certainly worked out for the better. The time and energy saved by everybody on staff, by employees, has certainly helped offset the cost of the system. So.
Excellent. This was very helpful. Hey, Scott, I'd like you to also spend a couple of minutes on also telling how you were intending to expand NetSuite usage at One Legal, and also any additional advice that you have that Drew not already mentioned.
Sure. The future for NetSuite at One Legal is actually wide open right now. We are in the process. NetSuite was the first piece of a three-part back-end system change that we're doing here at One Legal. We put NetSuite in place first. We're in the process of replacing a extremely legacy order management system with a NetSuite partner that's pre-integrated, which makes that particular piece quite easy to connect with NetSuite. We also have, in less than 30 days, integrated Salesforce with NetSuite, and we are about to wrap up the implementation of NetSuite's financial planning module, which I think is also called adaptive planning. So that's the immediate future. One Legal is a constantly changing entity from a business standpoint. So beyond what I just mentioned, I mean, the future's wide open. But that's the beautiful thing about NetSuite. It is very flexible, and I'm sure that it can handle anything that is coming our way. As far as advice, I think, as Drew said, don't be afraid of making change. This switching to NetSuite, especially from Great Plains, was a piece of cake. It took us about 6 months to actually implement and integrate NetSuite with some of our legacy systems. Would have been shorter had some of our other legacy systems not been so dated. We had to used some integration pieces that were from a NetSuite consulting firm to get the job done, but it was actually quite seamless. My staff, I have 12 people that we had to get spun up on NetSuite. It literally took days. I mean, it's very intuitive. The training was short and sweet, and everybody on my team was rolling with NetSuite in short order. I do recommend that you document your workflows. This might be a little granular, but I think it's very important that you document everything that you do today, and then start to look through those workflows. And this is a good time to make changes to streamline. And we were able to do quite a bit of that. And with NetSuite's scripting functionality, there's a lot of the day-to-day tasks that you can automate, and that's huge for us. So
awesome. Thanks a lot, Scott. I mean, the lessons learned are extremely valuable. I'm sure that's the reason people are listening to you guys. And sorry to kind of cut you off, but here we just want to get to the demo portion. And there's a poll on your screens, guys, and the next person to speak would be my colleague and Larry, and he is going to do a product demonstration at this point. And Larry, we have about 15 minutes, if that's okay. So please take it away and let's show the people the product.
Thank you, Kishore. Again, folks, my name is Larry McMahon. I'll be going through a high-level presentation of the NetSuite product. Just to give you a little background, the NetSuite product is a fully integrated ERP system. So not only are we talking about financials, but we also manage the CRM, your Salesforce automation, order management, inventory, procurement, and as the other folks have mentioned, e-commerce is part of our solution as well. Now, what you're looking at here is a dashboard of a senior executive. The dashboard is actually completely configurable by each user, and it's up to each individual user as to what components are going to be there, but it's all permission-based as well. It's all real-time information, so if I hover over and take a look at my sales information here, if I were to click, it's actually going to allow me to drill down into the underlying details. This is actually the report that populates that information on the front screen, and I'm able to look at the information across my entire organization. Now, this particular account I'm in actually has multiple legal entities, but we are a true multinational, multiple legal entities, multilingual product. We support over 19 languages and taxation and compliance rules in over 50 countries. But here's an example of our sales by customer summary, and I'll just hover over and click and drill down into a particular client. From the report here and click again, we can actually launch directly into the invoice. Now, this will open up the details of the invoice. You can see this is actually conducted in the German subsidiary. The currency is actually in euros. And then down below, we'll be able to see the details of what was actually sold and that we're capturing bad information. Getting a little bit of a delay here. There we go. So you can see down below here the items that were actually sold, the VAT tax codes at a tax rate of 19%. So this is completely integrated, taking into consideration multiple currency, taxation rules, and all being able to click down from the dashboard of the senior executive. Now from here, what I'd like to do is go into another role so you'll get a sense as to what it might look like coming in as a different individual. I'm going to go into my CFO role, and we'll go ahead and take a look at what it might look like from a high-level finance perspective of a multinational business. You can see the dashboard here. I've got customers by profitability. I have reminders that are coming up. I have key performance indicators. And we're getting a little bit of a challenge coming in through the WebEx. Apologize for this, folks. But in here, the ability to go through and run a consolidated income statement, and yeah, let me go ahead and log back in. I think I was sitting dormant for so long, my session timed out during the presentation. I apologize for that. I think that's why the delay. But here we go. We got our reminders up top. These are things that are helping me identify those things that I'm responsible for, purchase orders I need to approve, memorize transactions that I need to go ahead and process, bills to pay. I've got my key performance indicators focused on more from a financial perspective. Financial ratios, so I can see my day sales outstanding, my return on equity, my inventory turns, my days of inventory on hand, with the ability to click and actually see the calculation that's being used to identify what that ratio is. You can actually create your own ratios as well. But really the main thing I wanted to get into here was the income statement itself. This is a consolidated income statement in an organization that's multiple legal entities, and I have the ability to see all of that rolled up on the fly dynamically. And what I'll do is I'll show you that same report broken up by subsidiary, so you'll be able to see all of the revenue from a particular region and from a particular subsidiary location. And again, with the ability to navigate and click down into the underlying details, but the ability to do that on the fly. So the next piece I wanted to get into, again, we are a fully integrated ERP system. It's not just financials. I wanted to show you from what it might look like from a sales perspective, coming into a dashboard, taking a look at those things that this person needs to take care of today. I've got my appointments sitting over here. I've got my phone calls I need to make, the opportunities that I'm working on, which ones I need to follow up on, the tasks I need to accomplish. This one's organized more like a workspace, to-do list, where the first two were more the executive high-level view of the business. But from here, I have the ability to go in and maybe call up a customer record and go in to take a look at some of the details. So this is our global search, and you have the ability to search on anything within the system that you have access to, such as an invoice, a sales order, a customer PO, email address, a phone number, a first name, a last name. It'll actually help you locate information within the system very easily. So here's our customer record, Gentry. You can see all the details about the customer down below. These are all of the contacts within the particular account. All of your communications, we have a bi-directional interface with Outlook. So all of your emails going back and forth, whether they initiate within NetSuite or whether they start in Outlook, you can synchronize them back into NetSuite. The ability to see everything that has been sold, as well as their current financial information, their aging, their credit limits. Are they on hold? Do they conduct business in different currencies? Do they have credit cards on file? Are they able to accept electronic fund transfers, group pricing, item-specific pricing for this client? So this is the central repository of everything related to this particular account. And whether those communications are coming from your collection department, your service organization, your sales department, you have the ability to see all of those communications. But let's go ahead, and what I want to do is now touch on the fact that we are a completely integrated solution managing your entire business. I'm going to go in and create a sales order. So here's my sales order form. Let's go ahead and add an item. This add multiple allows me to go through and quickly add items to the sales order. It shows me the price that I sell this item to this particular client. It also tells me how much inventory I have at this particular location. So I know that I have these and have the ability to go ahead and sell it. I'm going to go ahead and add that to the order. The next really exciting feature is this upsell capability. This is native to the solution, and actually based on items that you have sold in the past or to other clients, it will actually give recommendations, and this will help your sales organization sell more products. This is actually giving me some recommendations to bring on a dining set or maybe a sofa that when other people have bought that particular bed, they have bought other items at the same time. Let's go ahead and save the order and process it. And we'll go through quickly and do a fulfillment. We'll invoice it, and we'll accept payment on it. just so you can see how everything ties together, the decrementing of the inventory and tying it into the financials and seeing how it impacts the general ledger. So here's our order. It is pending fulfillment. And what I'm going to do, just for time's sake, I'm going to shortcut it and go into a controller role. Now, typically, I would go into a warehouse role, but just for time's sake, let's go ahead and fulfill that particular order. And we got orders that need to be fulfilled using a little shortcut over here. This is actually indicating I have 78 orders that are building up in my queue that I need to go ahead and take care of. And we'll scroll down and look for the order that we did here for Gentry. It's 2282. And we'll go ahead and take that bed and ship it directly out. Now here we can do the full pick, pack, and ship process, shortcutting it just to go straight to shipment, pulling that bed out of my West Coast warehouse, and we'll go ahead and hit save. Now this is actually creating a fulfillment transaction. It is impacting my general ledger right away. It's decrementing my inventory, and let's go ahead and take a look at that transaction. So here's our item fulfillment transaction. And because we're in a finance role, I actually have the ability to see the GL impact of that. So you can see my cost of goods sold was debited and my inventory asset account was credited. And that happens immediately, so it's all real time. Now let's go back to that sales order and let's go ahead and invoice it and then accept payment. So in here we can go ahead and take a deposit on this order, for example, but let's go ahead and create the invoice, and then we'll go through and accept payment on that sale. And here's our invoice form, the item that was actually sold, capturing all of my shipping, handling, taxation. From here, I can print it, I can email it directly out, I can even fax it to my end customer. So our invoice 968 will go out electronically out to our client, and this is now going into our accounts receivables. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and accept payment on this particular invoice. And all of this is, again, impacting the general ledger as it occurs. So there we go, and let's go ahead and accept payment on that invoice. Now in here you can indicate what account the funds are going to go into. We can go ahead and put it into our operating account, for example. Down below it's identifying the open invoices. Is there a discount that's available for this particular customer? And it looks like we're just paying this particular invoice. We can indicate the payment method. Now they happen to have a credit card on file, but we'll go ahead and indicate that it was a check. And we'll put in a check number. And we'll go ahead and apply that to that invoice. So this is now accepted payment. And again, all of this is happening in real time and updating the general ledger right away. And so we just deposited that, and we can now see the GL impact because I'm in a finance role, how it's debited my operating account and credited my accounts receivable account. Now that just shows the complete tight integration into the solution. The next area I wanted to get into was, that was the accounts receivable side. I wanted to show you the payable side as well. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and create a purchase order. Let's go ahead and enter a purchase order. I'm going to put it through an approval process. We'll go ahead and select a vendor. And I'm going to create I'm going to go ahead and buy that same item to replenish my inventory. Let's go ahead and add that bedroom. There we go. And what I want to do is I want to make it so that it's over $5,000. It's actually going to run it through an approval process. We have a workflow engine, and anything over $5,000 requires a second level approval. And so we've got our purchase order. Let's go ahead and save that. And this is going to require that the controller go through and approve this particular CO, this particular PO. So that's just the approval process that's set up. You can see that it's pending approval. Let's go ahead and move over to our controller role and take a look at POs that need to be approved. Got a little reminder over here. These are things I need to follow up on, and these are my purchase orders that are ready to be approved. Here's the PO we just created. Let's go ahead and approve that PO. And in here you can see nice little buttons, approve or reject button. We'll go ahead and approve that purchase order. And then we'll go through, I'm also going to create another scenario on the, when the invoice comes in. Let's go ahead and receive it into stock. Again, just to shortcut it, we're going to replenish our inventory for those items. Shows the location where we want to go ahead and put that, and the quantity. Let's go ahead and put that into our inventory. So this is, again, impacting our inventory asset account. And let's go back to the purchase order. On the PO, when I get the invoice in, let's go ahead and create the invoice. I'm going to create a variance, a purchase price variance. And then we'll go ahead and manage that. Now this particular item, you can see the receipt number where we received it, the quantity. So it's actually doing a three-way match, tying it back to. Let's go ahead and put a reference on this, just so we can easily locate it. This is the vendor's invoice number. And down below, we're going to indicate that it was actually, he's sending you an invoice and he's charging you more than what it was originally for. Now, this is a choice you can make, whether you go back to the PO and update it, or do you capture this as a purchase price variance. And in here, I'm going to just go ahead and capture it as a variance, and it's going to indicate to me that there is a variance that needs to be approved, needs to be posted to the general ledger. We'll go ahead and post it. You can see down below, my journal is not been posted. And let's go ahead and, it's pending approval. Let's go ahead and approve that. So that invoice, just indicate that it's been approved. And I need to indicate a location, which I may have stripped off this particular form. It's not that important, but let's go ahead and I removed the location. Oh, here we go. There's the location. I got to tell it where I want to put it, and let's go ahead and post it. And what I'm going to do is then post that variance to the general ledger. So we've got our item. We'll go ahead and post that variance. So what I'm doing is looking for the application to post the vendor bill. Here's that vendor bill we just put in, and we'll go ahead and create the journal entry. This is actually posting a dollar amount to the general ledger of $306, which is as a result of being a discrepancy between the vendor bill and the vendor invoice. Now, obviously, we do manage a number of things. There's tons of financial reports. But for time's sake, I'm going to turn it back over to Kishore, and hopefully you found this valuable.
Hey, Larry, thank you very much. And sorry, everyone, and Larry, that we had to rush through this and kind of cut short. We have a lot more functionality, as Larry said, but I want to get to a couple of questions. They've been posted to our guests, and also Larry can answer a couple of those. So the question to both of you, Scott and Drew, is when you migrated from Great Plains, did you port your old data to the new system, or did you leave it there and had to have to maintain two systems at the same time? If so, how did it go? How long did you maintain? Can you give me like a quick 30-second answer on that so we can get to the next question? Scott?
Sure. Oh, this is Scott. Sorry. We ported over. We brought over previous year's GL and then all open AR and AP transactions. And in our line of work, there is a little bit of operating in two systems, but it was not that difficult.
Right.
We did not operate two systems simultaneously. We essentially migrated everything over. We had most of the work done far before going live, and then there's a couple of last steps that obviously the implementation folks at NetSuite walk you through to get in. But we essentially looked back at Great Plains a couple of times for a couple of data points. Aside from that, it was a really clean switch for us.
So thank you very much, gentlemen. Scott, this one is for you, which is, can you please comment more on the SAP evaluation decision and why NetSuite, why you found NetSuite was better for your needs?
Well, sure. I mean, at the end of the day, the functionality between SAP, Oracle, and NetSuite, right? Oracle will do anything you want, but you're going to pay for it. And at the end of the day, if we really want to boil this down quickly, NetSuite was the cheapest that offered the most functionality. We were looking for something that out of the gate would get us 80% of where we needed to be, and we'd work on the remaining 20 after go live. And we're not a huge company. We have limited resources when it comes to cash, and NetSuite fit the bill for us. That's
excellent.
The easiest way to explain it.
Yeah. Great. Hey, folks, I know there are a few more questions that we did not get to. It's at the top of the hour, and I don't want to keep any of you here. And so thank you very much, Larry, Scott, and Drew, for your time. And I appreciate your participation in this. And hopefully the audience got away some valuable information. And we will get to your questions, and I'll make sure that we send you a response as soon as possible. So thank you again.